Now our story continues. Lily Devon had just made a surprising statement to Brett Cameron. A statement? Well, perhaps not so much from what she had said, but from the way she had said it, Lily's disclosure had been in the nature of a confession, too. Immediately, she regretted having taken him into her confidence, and, making excuses, had left Brett alone in the lobby of the Brown Palace Hotel. Left him alone with his thoughts.
It's hard to believe, but it must be true. Lily wouldn't have said it otherwise. Obviously, she doesn't like it. My guess is that she's in love with Randy herself. Which doesn't matter to me, except that... Yes, it must be true. She's jealous. Well, thank you, Lily. You've proved very useful in the past, playing up to my attentions enough to cause a little talk around town. And I'll always be grateful for your allaying any suspicions that might have been directed toward Jessie and me. But now this little bit of information you've given me... Yes, I think this will do the trick very nicely.
At that moment, Brett's thoughts were interrupted by the voice of Georgie Stewart.
Hello, Lochinvar.
Oh, good morning, Georgie. I don't get it. What do you mean Lochinvar?
Well, aren't you the great lover who comes out of the West?
Well, not very far out, since my shack is just barely across the river.
Oh, but the lover part fits all right, huh?
Why deny it, since it might furnish some material for that gossip column of yours? What are you up to? Checking the hotel for any possible news?
Well, I don't want to miss any bits. I, met the lovely Lily Devon as I came in. What's funny?
Oh, nothing, Georgie, except that I notice on every occasion when we meet, you find a way of introducing Lily Devon into the conversation. Could it be that you have a more than professional interest in our blonde friend?
No, Brett. She interests me only because she makes good news. Miss Devon has color. She has personality.
Oh, yes, no denying that.
And she does things. She's the first really new thing that's happened to Wakefield in a long time. I like her.
Yes, I notice she gets a lot of free publicity in your column.
Well, it isn't exactly free. Her supper club attracts some very interesting customers. She picks up quite a few items for me. Besides, in my way, I'm a bit of a social worker. I like to support the supper club because she's turned it over to the kids for Saturday nights. Maybe it's a good thing for our young people.
Oh, now, Georgie, let's not try to gild the lily. I suspect that little Saturday night departure is merely a very clever publicity stunt on Miss Devon's part. A way to appease the town fathers.
Well, then let me tell you how wrong you are. And you know something? Your thinking that surprises me, in a way. I thought perhaps you knew her better than anybody else.
Why?
Now, Brett, leave us not kid our old friends. It's my business to take note of any goings-on around our little town, and I wouldn't have to be very observant to know that you're about the only man who seems to have made any headway with Miss Devon.
Well, Georgie, add a postscript. It seems that yours truly is slipping. Another local boy has made good, too. Namely, Randy Lane.
Randy Lane? Oh, no.
Oh, yes. He's having a date with Miss Devon this very evening after the supper club closes. Go ahead, put it down in your notebook.
I won't need to put it down if it's true. This evening, huh?
That's right.
Well, thanks, Brett.
No, don't mention it. Glad to help. Just call on me anytime.
Thanks again. I might do that.
Brett, leaving Georgie, stopped for a cup of coffee in the hotel coffee shop, picked up a Chicago paper, stopped in to order some groceries, and then strolled leisurely toward his home. He hated walking, but since it was necessary, he carried it off in the manner of the country gentleman out for his daily breather. On the porch of his house, he stopped a moment as he saw the Calvert car parked in his drive out of sight of the street. Now he has just entered the front door.
Jessie?
I'm in the kitchen, Brett, fixing myself a drink. Shall I make it two?
No, thanks. It's a little early. Oh, on second thought, yes, I believe it will. Scotch, please.
I half expected you to have company.
Why?
I left you talking to our mutual friend, Miss Devon. Couldn't you join in for lunch today?
I don't know. Didn't ask her. Get enough ice?
Yeah, plenty. I'll be all right. Here we are. Yours is the one on the right.
Well, thanks, Jessie. It's quite nice. You know, I might enjoy having you around all the time.
Don't tease me, darling. You know I'm only living for the moment when we can be together.
Oh? Obviously, you've reconsidered. The way you talked this morning, I thought perhaps you'd like to call the whole thing off.
You were cruel this morning. I want everything just the way we planned it. I only want to be careful because Ben is getting quite suspicious of me. I know it. And when he suggested that he might change his will, I was too upset to think.
Then you've decided to go ahead on my terms? Everything or nothing?
Yes. Yes. We've got to find some way to keep Ben from leaving part of his money to Kit.
Good. Let's drink to that. Now, shall we bind the bargain?
Oh, Brett, I do love you.
And I love you, my sweet. And I appreciate you coming here to tell me your decision.
I shouldn't have come, I suppose. Ben could be upset by my absence, but it's safer than the telephone. Those operators can be so nosy. And I had to get in touch with you. I'm terribly worried. What can you do to prevent Ben from changing his will?
Well, I thought you said this morning that you didn't think he would. Why don't we wait until we can be sure what he plans to do?
Well, of all the perverse, inconsistent males, that's exactly what I suggested this morning, but you wouldn't hear of waiting. I can't understand you, Brett. You're so changeable.
It's part of my charm, darling.
Part of your charm. Is that what appeals to your peroxide blonde friend? I find it rather upsetting.
Jessie, there's no need for your jealousy of Lily. Ours is a perfectly harmless friendship.
Oh, don't ask me to believe that, Brett.
It's true. Not since you won't believe that I'm not susceptible, maybe you'll be happy to know that Lily has her cap set for someone else.
Oh?
Yeah. I'm afraid Lily's carrying the torch for one Randy Lane.
Did she tell you that?
No. In fact, she went to some pains to lead me to think that it was merely a friendship. But something she said made me think differently. What she said and the way she said it.
Well, I, for one, approve. It'd be good riddance to both of them.
Yes, you would think that. However, Lily tells me that Randy is interested in someone else. That's how I happen to know that it's pretty serious as far as Lily's concerned. The mere fact that she would mention the other woman's name.
Oh, it's idle talk, Brett. I didn't come out here to discuss Lily Devon or her affairs. Our situation, yours and mine, is the
But
reason
Lily's affair is very closely related to our own, darling. What would you say if I told you that Lily's rival for the affections of Randy Lane is your very charming stepdaughter?
Kit? Ha! I wouldn't believe it.
I'll admit it seems very implausible. I believe it.
But it doesn't seem possible. The Lanes and the Talbots have always been natural enemies. Kit despises Peggy, and that's why Aunt Mary...
But Randy is a man, Jessie.
Yes, of course, but... I see what you mean.
Besides, it isn't too important whether it's true or not. The fact that Lily thinks so proves that other people can be made to think so, too. And if Ben were to believe it... Don't you see?
You mean that because of Ben's hatred for Randy, he'd never consider leaving Kit a part of his money? Never risk Randy's coming into part of it through Kit?
Something like that.
But Brett, Ben is so thoroughly washed up with Kit at this point. Do you think it's necessary to try to add anything? Would he be affected now by anything that Kit might do?
Jessie, for heaven's sakes, make up your mind. You come to me with a story that Ben is going to change his will, going to leave part of his money to Kit. Now you're saying, in effect, that nothing could make him leave a part of his money.
No, Brett, it isn't that. I'm not worried about Kit. I'm worried about myself. When Ben told me that he might change his will, I had a feeling that he was saying it merely to get my reaction. He seemed to be testing me in a way, as though he was suspicious of me.
Why should he be?
I don't know, but he's mentioned your name a great deal recently, and frankly, I'm afraid.
I don't know. Jessie, you needn't look so glum. With this information that Lily Devon gave me about Kit and Randy, I think we have a second chance to get rid of Ben. And, darling, this time we aren't going to miss.
Jessie wanted to question Brett further, but as she looked into her lover's face, she decided against it. It really didn't matter. Whatever this smiling, handsome man asked her to do, her heart would not let her refuse. After Jessie left, Brett lit a cigarette and sat down to read the Chicago paper. But apparently the news failed to hold his attention. From time to time he smiled quietly, the smile of a man who was very satisfied with himself. Yes, Brett, you must still be thinking, this time we aren't going to miss.